My son, who is now 21, over the last few years I've watched a decline with him and his friends, their interest in television video. And they're also tending to go back a lot further. I mean, my son's favourite bands are people like the Cream, Jimi Hendrix and Bob Dylan from the mid-60s. And it's interesting that they're starting to almost react against the saturation of video form and much prefer to use their own minds, their own imaginations. In the Western society, there is such shambles socially and economically. I think there's a lot of fragmentation in society, breaking down into tribal groups, great hostilities, and terms of chaos that people can't understand, almost can't understand where we've been and where we're going. It gives almost a nihilistic flavour to their lives, often. I think that because of that, that music only reflects the society from which it's created. And I think white rock music does reflect those apathies and those fragmentations. It doesn't have a strong statement in the way that it had in the 60s, when there was a focus by the generation that a specific job has to be done, and specific aims and needs. And white music at that time was very strong in reflecting back those feelings. Now I think you get the same sense of urgency and priority from black and Hispanic music. I think that the strong social messages are coming from those communities because they indeed have motivation for protest and for outrage for their situation, and I think they make their feelings very known because they know what they want, they know a future that they want, and they know what they don't want. 39 was the worst year of my life. I hated it. It was so awful. I thought, God, you've got to really, really learn how to let go of youthful ambition and start to rebalance and understand the positive points of being 40. Because of the ageist aspects of the career that I've chosen, which is popular music, you have to really sort of understand, well, this is the first generation of rock musicians that are sort of growing up into their 40s. Do we have a contribution to make? And if so, what is it? And I think that becomes one of the puzzles. And it's something that one tries to work through and work with. I think the greatest contribution is to be able to keep making music with integrity and with a fair degree of excitement. And if those two things are missing, then it's just a career. And I never wanted a career. I don't need a career. I mean, I think that is one of the singular lies of the arts generally, whether it's painting or music or whatever, is that the best art is made by people who are on drugs or cracked up or crazy. And you know something that's not true? From my own experiences, this is not true, because possibly one of the best-known albums, so-called critically, which was really liked in the 70s, was Station to Station, which was done at a very high drug intake time. There's enormous amounts of drugs being done at that time. However, Low album, which was done in Berlin, was drug-free, and I think it's just as strong, and has proved over the years to be just as strong as Station to Station. So I don't buy into the myth.
James?
Iggy James, well, his real name's James Osterberg. Jim is something else. Jim is he's a closet intellectual. I mean, he comes on like nature's boy, you know, like as though he's something from this nihilistic nightmare. But actually, he's a guy who's very comfortable with a pair of horn-rimmed glasses and a book and sitting, you know. Both he and Lou Reed, I think, should write prose. I think they should both work in prose. Who am I to say? I mean, you should work in prose, you know. If I'd never been born, we would never have had stack heel shoes.